We all seem to like this simple foam-free terrain, so I'll make more. Hi there, welcome to Bardscraft. We got dragons, hills and bridges, so what could go wrong? You can make all of this from cheap and simple materials. I'll show you how to craft this modular terrain. Let's begin. The first step is easy, but you'll have to find a good amount of cardboard. First, I decided the shape for my large rock formations that will form a small valley in between. I cut out the shapes using rough movements. This makes sure that the cardboard layers already have a slightly jagged stone-like appearance. You can work on them later if there are any longer, smoother cuts. And naturally, the kitchen knife works wonders as well. Then I cut several additional layers of similar shape. I believe 10 layers will be good enough to begin with. It's good to make a few layers of identical shape, so they can stack up the height of the stone formation. In this way, the layers won't get too small as we ascend. As the layers get smaller towards the top, I numbered them to avoid any chaos. Great, that pile is done. For the other rock formation, I cut out smaller cardstock pieces after layer number 6. I made this area specifically for a miniature to fit in. These types of details make the terrain more fun and interactive. All is good so far. It is time to glue the layers together. I chose PVA glue this time, as I didn't want to expend all of my hot glue sticks. This amount of glue should do. I'll add more sticky stuff on the edges later, so it doesn't have to be bulletproof yet. Then I added books to hold everything in place. Okay, the glue has now dried. I removed the tomes of epic lore and planned. The dragon skeleton will go there, along with some smaller rock formations that will add more cover and platforms to the terrain. The bridge will start from here and shall lead over to the higher area of the other large formation. I'm starting with the smaller rock formations. I made these stacks and glued them on. After that, I cut out this longer formation that goes in here. And a similar, thinner one goes here on the other side. I then glued on smaller bits on them to finish them off. Simple and easy to make. The base structures are now done. Here I took some bark I found in my local forest. I chopped it up into sand and rubble flocking. Now I have a great amount of flocking, enough for many upcoming terrain projects. I'll use the bark to cover the sides. First I covered the sides of the cardboard with PVA glue. Spare no glue, for all shall be covered. It's also good to be messy, so we get some sand and stone flocking on random spots on the horizontal surfaces. Then simply sprinkle on the bark flocking. Sand should work just as well. After some waiting, I covered the rocky surfaces with a black-brown and glue base coat. Then I followed up with a earthy green, covering the flat surfaces. I later thought a darker, more brown-green suits better. I then left this to dry overnight. Moving on, for the dragon skull I will be using templates from a previous build. I'll cut out the pieces from cardstock, of course from oat packages. Once the left skull and jaw pieces were cut out, I used them to draw the right side as well. Good, here are all the pieces. I glued them together using hot glue. Do it like this, glue the top onto the side first. Then add the other side. Next, you will pour in some extra glue for durability. Then carefully attach the jaws. Remember to remove any excess glue while it's still hot. There you go, that's how you can make a simple dragon head. I also added a few smaller pieces. Here goes an eyebrow, and here something for the top. I then covered the head with PVA glue and created textures by applying thick streaks as shown here. Hope you like the dragon head. This is something you can do really easily as extra detail for terrain, or perhaps stick it outside a tavern. Or craft a dragon. I got a few tutorials just for that, so check out this playlist if you are interested. I'll put the dragon aside for now, as the glue and paint has now dried on the terrain. Here you can see I also painted these surfaces with green. Next, I did an overbrushing with a brown-yellow paint mixture. When painting over a dark base coat, you can usually use brighter colors, as they will turn darker once they dry over the dark base coat. Time to make a mess with flocking. I covered horizontal surfaces with PVA glue first. Use the worst brush you can find and apply plenty of glue so it won't dry before you have covered the entire piece. Then simply drop on your flocking of choice. Deal has worked well for me. I'll inform you in 5 years. Does it decompose on terrain? To make a cheap and easy spine, I partially broke a BBQ stick to get a nice curved piece. Make sure to not break it completely. I ended up connecting 3 pieces into a long spine that will be placed there, under the bridge. First, I used hot glue to attach the segments, then reinforced the spine from under. Quick tip, work with the tip of the glue gun to reshape ugly parts. I attached the head, then made strips of cardstock that go around the spine. Should give this a more segmented look. Naturally, the pieces get thinner as we move down along the spine. I then made skeletal limbs just from connected bits of barbecue stick and toothpicks. And a strip of cardboard. Simple to make, annoying to film. I'll attach some of the limbs on the spine, then other bits will be laid around, scattered across the ground. Should look something like this. The ribs are still missing, so I made them next. Using cardstock should work. I cut out curved pieces, roughly in the same way as I did when building the Dracolich. I cut them in half and then glued them in on the side of the spine. Once they were all in place, I reinforced them with hot glue on the inside. In this way I was also able to bend them into desired shape. Last time I did this with PVA glue. What a fool I was. This is much easier. I then cleaned the messy hot glue strings away with the tip and then glued on the front limbs. First I had to cut off some from these ribs. Then I just glued it in. Yeah, that's gonna look good with the other bone bits in place. I also glued these pointy bits on the spine. Then painted the bones with drake tooth. I just covered the entire thing with this tan color. Looks like this when it's done. I then applied strong tone wash to see what happens. I'll show you how this works on the claw. Okay, that works. I repeated the process on the entire dragon. Just try to cover everything unevenly and get plenty of wash into all gaps and crevices. I also painted the eye socket with black. This simple 2-layer paint job worked much better than expected, truly epic. If you agree, do subscribe and like this video in the end, and share this Serpent of Chaos with your mom or wife. Great, before the bridge I quickly dry brushed the grass with yellow. Some flock will come off, but that's okay, it smells good. The bridge. A hang bridge will need poles. BBQ sticks should do. I created exaggerated wood grain textures with the utility knife. Simply destroy it. That is good. Now I simply applied a generous layer of strong tone wash. The poles are done. I poked them, never mind, and I won't make a hang bridge, just scammed you there. Spruce. I cut out the planks from spruce. Then made wood grain textures using the knife and patience. Junk is good, but this was too much effort to be worth it. Next time I'll use wooden sticks. I then glued the plastic scrap planks onto 2 BBQ sticks. At this point I felt like I was half-assing, but I told myself this is supposed to be simple terrain, and it worked. I then trimmed the barbecue sticks into the right length and glued in the poles at the ends. I also decided to place poles in the middle, and then added more glue under to add strength. Good, I painted the bridge as following. First a dark brown base coat, then a golden brown overbrush, followed by a dry brushing with tan. I also applied strong tone wash on some areas. Then I fiddled these ropes into place around the poles. You'll need some glue, a few loops and immense patience to do this. Let's see, this is beautifully simple and fully modular. The fallen Serpent of Chaos goes here, waiting in slumber until the rise of weak men. The bridge doesn't make too much sense, but it's fully playable as all things should be. I could put a road here, but I won't. I will be using these as grassy hills as well. If you enjoy my modular and epic approach on terrain, do subscribe and like for more. Now go craft more terrain and minis. Join me on Patreon as well, if you think the content is worth it. I'll see you there. Goodbye.